Yeah, I'm interested to see that too. And we were hearing from the lead case agent on the investigation into the death of George Floyd before we went to lunch break. Laura, I want to ask you also about that testimony from Jody Steiger with the LAPD. On cross-examination, Eric Nelson pointed out that possibly it almost sounded like to me he was saying, well, maybe the people on the street the bystanders on the sidewalk, they were seeing something different than they thought they were seeing. He kept hammering on this point that he believed that the photos showed, and Lieutenant Steiger pointed out that it showed Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's the back of his back, almost the base of his neck. So, do you think that the defense scored any points there with him?
The defense scored a number of points throughout the cross-examination. I thought the best point that they scored was when defense attorney Eric Nelson got Sergeant Steiger to admit that a reasonable officer would view the following as a threat: someone pacing, raising his voice, and basically throwing epithets at an officer, cursing at the officer, calling him a fucking pussy. I mean, they were talking about that. And he said, initially, Eric Nelson was really trying to get him to admit it, but he just would not. But eventually he had to say, yes, a reasonable officer would perceive that as a threat. And I think he was trying to build up this point that they've had from the beginning in their opening statement, that there was an unruly group of people surrounding the officers, distracting the officers. And again, he was trying to, get some of these points that he's going to later use in his closing statement. And as far as the question that you were asking, did he score a point with showing him the photos, trying to get him to say, the knee is not really in a dangerous spot. It's really at the base of the neck, closer to the shoulder blades. I mean, it all depends on how the jury sees it. Maybe, maybe not. It looks like in some of the photos, the knee is at the base of the neck, closer to the shoulder blades, somewhere above the shoulder blades. One photo shows you that, and the other, taken by the bystander, makes it look more like this is really on the neck. So it all depends. I mean, yes, you could always argue the cameras are not that great. You've got different views from different cameras, and people are excited. It depends on where they're standing. What they're seeing may not be accurately described. We've had so many cases where eyewitnesses have misidentified people. People are excited. They may think it's the neck. It may not be the neck. So he's just muddying up the water. He's preparing, he's trying to show that it's not necessarily what this video is showing. Let's not just rely on the video. There's a lot more to it. You need to look at everything else.
Yeah, and I think that's something he's probably going to end up hitting on too during his case, is the fact that you have to view this, according to Graham v. Connor, through the lens of the officer at the time, and you're not allowed to kind of Monday morning quarterback on these things. Stay with us. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to have more with Tiffany Simmons and Lara Yeretsian after the break. You are watching For the Record on the Law and Crime Network.